Congresswoman Titus, welcome to KTNV. Thanks for coming on.
Always a pleasure.
So let's talk about Gold Butte. We're taping this shortly after a press conference was held with you, Senator Reid, and some other folks about protecting this land around Gold Butte. Why is it necessary?
Well, I think it's very important to set it aside because then you can devote resources to protecting it. You know, you've got trash out there, petroglyphs are being destroyed, people are doing off-road traveling over sensitive territory, and you had some illegal cows out there too. So it's just our corner of the Grand Canyon, and we should protect it. And it also is good economics because a lot of people, especially international tourists who are coming here in greater numbers, like to get out and see things beyond the Las Vegas Strip and downtown.
Just for the record, do we know whose illegal cows those were?
No, what was that name?
Because I put the over-under on Clive and Bundy being mentioned at the second sentence, so I think I lost. But seriously, listen, in case people don't know, in your other life, you're a student of political science, and this tug-of-war that continues to go on between federal lands versus Nevada lands, development versus protection, rural versus urban. It seems to have reached a new stage, Congresswoman, in the sense that the Basin and Range set aside that occurred recently, and now the call for Gold Butte. Is there a new stage in this battle that I just described?
Well, you might have thought so when you had the whole Bundy insurrection, I guess you could call it. But I think now people are looking at that and seeing how outrageous that was. There's been a poll done here in Nevada that shows 71% of the people across party lines think you should protect Gold Butte. And so, and you've got the convention authority, you've got the Las Vegas Chamber, you've got residents of Mesquite, all agreeing. So I think that faction that was so adamantly opposed to public lands is now dwindling.
I guess what I'm wondering, though, is if you ask people if they want to protect pristine areas, I think they'll naturally say yes, no matter what the political persuasion there. But it does involve certain things that I think that some people might be opposed to. And, you know, there are people who are opposed, even in our own congressional delegation, to the Basin and Range set aside, and I'm sure they will be to the Gold Butte as well. It's not just protecting them. I understand you talk about this damage report that came out about what goes on out there, but it's more than that.
Well, I think you can protect it and still allow recreation. I mean, it's not like you're going to keep people off of that land. You hold that land in trust for everybody, so you can still take vehicles out there. You just have to take them on designated roads, or you can still hike, but you go on trails. You can't shoot off petroglyphs or blast them off to take them home. So there's a level of protection that can work together with the ability to use it for all kinds of different recreation.
But it prohibits certain things as well that people think should be allowed on certain lands. There's these vast expanse of lands in Nevada that are being taken away, and you hear voices, usually on the right, talking about the rights of developers, hunters, etc. Why don't you care about developers and hunters?
Well, hunters are certainly welcome out there. It doesn't restrict hunting. Development shouldn't occur in some places, but now that argument is a false argument because developers aren't going to go out there in the middle of nowhere and build a housing project. Let us not forget what happened at Coyote Springs that they thought was going to be a great development. And development shouldn't be in certain places. Also, some people think, oh, the state should control this. There's a lot of cost to the state to control and protect and preserve and oversee land, and they forget about that cost, and I don't think the state's willing to put that money into it.
Yeah, that's the most annoying thing about this entire argument is those who say bring the federal lands into the state control. You ask them, how is the state going to pay for it? They don't want to answer that part of the equation. Final question on this, though. This issue of whether the president, through some kind, using the Antiquities Act or something else, should protect Gold Butte, this is a done deal already, right? You guys are just giving him political cover. He's agreed to do this, whether it's for you or for Senator Reid's political legacy. It's already a done deal. You can acknowledge it right here at this moment.
Well, I would hope it's a done deal, but he has not said that.
But you know,
presidents since Teddy Roosevelt have used that Antiquities Act. We hope he does before he leaves office. He seems to be amenable to using the act, and so we hope that he sets this aside. But these kind of press conferences and the report that we issued today, which is the same as a year ago, only worse, and I chaired a 3-hour town hall meeting, all of that is to say to the administration, there's a lot of support for this, hear our voices, and hopefully move forward.
You're not going to tell me it's a done deal. It is a done deal.
Well, good. I like your optimism.
Since I am obviously much more optimistic than you are.
You've never been known for your optimism.
Not nearly as cynical as you are, Congresswoman. Let's shift gears to something it's easy to be cynical about, and that's the presidential contest. As I mentioned, you're a student of history and political science. Have you ever seen a candidate as divisive, misogynistic, even borderline racist as Donald Trump?
I haven't. And, you know, I was in the classroom for 35 years, and I was known as not being partisan in the classroom. Sometimes students would not even know what party I belonged to.
On.
No,
That
is
myth.
true. No, that's
myth.
been written in the evaluations, and I took a lot of pride in that. But I am glad I'm not in the classroom now, because I would not be able to not criticize that. And I don't know how I would explain how it fits into any kind of theory, because it doesn't.
But here's what you need to explain that I don't understand then. If this is true about Donald Trump, why is Hillary Clinton not so far ahead in the state that you and I live in, Nevada? All the polls show it relatively close.
That's true.
What does that have to say about the candidate that you've been there for a long time, Hillary Clinton, that she's not far ahead of Donald Trump in Nevada?
Well, she's far ahead in Colorado. She's moving far ahead in Virginia. She's moving far ahead in Florida. You have said yourself, John, that we do a poor job of polling in Nevada. Nobody predicted how Harry Reid was going to run and win. Nobody predicted the margin for the President Obama. I think there's not a real measure of the new Hispanic voters, perhaps, the new Asian voters who are in the system. Well, how do you track the young people? We have a transient population, so I'm not sure that the polling that shows them close at this point is really accurate or is going to reflect what happens in November.
It may not reflect what happens in November, but you know something about polling too, which is you have poll after poll after poll showing the same thing. It's probably pretty close to being true. Her numbers, people who distrust her, are very, very high. In some polls, higher than Donald Trump. She's been in public life for a long time. There's been controversy surrounding the Clintons forever. And the issue with the email server and the FBI director's report, which essentially said, I'm not going to indict you, but you were very careless, et cetera. Why does that not bother you?
Well, I didn't say it didn't bother me.
Does it bother you?
Well, she said she made a mistake.
That's not what I asked you. Does it bother you?
I brought my props, John.
Okay.
I use two phones.
Okay.
So I have an official phone and I have a private phone.
So that's where you do all your dirty business, on that phone?
This is where I answer your call.
Oh, that's okay. I used to have that number, I think.
But yes, there was a mistake, and she shouldn't have done it. Other people before her had done it, but that's no excuse, and she's admitted it. She sat for 11 hours in front of a House committee. She talked to the FBI. She said make it all public. The FBI says it's not criminal. I hate it because it just keeps on hammering as a political issue and plays to that caricature that they have built of her as untrustworthy. Yes, it's had an impact, but I'm hoping that moving on and talking about the issues and seeing the contrast between her and Donald Trump is so dramatic that those things will take priorities.
Well, why do you call it a caricature? I mean, you're essentially saying that the American people can't think for themselves, that they believe these distortions. Maybe there are good reasons not to trust Hillary Clinton.
Well, I think I call it a caricature because if you look at every picture in the paper, you can see a caricature that's drawn of her that emphasizes this. And when you have Fox News that people watch a lot, just hammering it over and over and over again, people start to listen to it and think, well, maybe there's some truth there. So it is a problem, but I think she tries to work on that trust issue by meeting people personally, by being out there on the campaign trail, not taking any vote for granted. She says she's going to go after everyone, and she has certainly done that. She works harder than anybody I know, and you are seeing those numbers change not only in a national poll, but in some of those key states. Now, Nevada, you know, I've had some people trouble with voters myself in Nevada, so I'm not sure I can explain how they think.
Do you trust her?
I trust her.
You do?
I do.
And despite everything, despite the emails, despite everything else, you say, I trust Hillary Clinton.
I trust her to have her...
Because she's a Democrat?
No, of course not. I've known her for a long time, supported her for a long time. I think she is more knowledgeable, more experienced, more committed to this country. If I wanted to have somebody's finger on the button, I would put hers on there over Donald Trump's any day.
Let's talk about a couple of things closer to home. I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, and I know you will, that you have tried at the federal level to get marijuana downgraded from a Schedule I drug. Is that correct? You believe in doing that?
I have looked at it. I'm on a number of bills. I'm part of the caucus that is called a Cannabis Working Group.
Right.
I'm kind of the queen of cannabis for Nevada. But I think you have to be very careful about changing it from the category it is now to a 2, and some people are talking about that.
You're not on that bill?
No, I'm not on that bill, and here's why. You change it to a 2 category, that puts it the same as pharmaceuticals. That means that Big Pharma is going to swoop in here and take it over. And then you go to Walgreens or CVS or some new pharmacy, and all our small businesses here in Nevada that have gotten into the medical marijuana business will be wiped out because Big Pharma's got the research facilities, the marketing, the structure. They will take that over because they will see the profit in it.
Do you favor the question on the ballot to legalize marijuana here in Nevada?
I haven't taken a position on it. I'm very strongly.
That's why I'm asking you.
I know.
Because
Well,
I'm
going to give you an explanation.
Okay.
I'm very strongly in support of medical marijuana. Was when it originally passed. I'm on the bill for banking, on the bill for no prosecution, on the bill for small business protections, just like any small business. But Nevada has some unique qualities that you don't see in Colorado or you don't see in Washington. If the public wants to do it, I will fight for our state's rights in Washington, but I want us to do it right. I want us to learn from their mistakes. I want us to take into account some of the concerns of mothers who don't want it to look like candy so little children can get it, law enforcement, and gaming. This will change the entire notion of gaming and entertainment and services. So let's just think it through carefully. If the folks want to go for it, then I'll be an advocate, but I'm not going to be the one that says, let's just rush into it, because I think there's a lot at play here.
I've known you for a long time. You and I have known each other for a long time. You are one of the least reticent public officials I know. You've taken a lot of stances. How can you possibly think it's okay to meander around on that? It's yes or no? It's not like this thing just appeared out of the blue, this question. Your good friend, your former colleague, Tick Segerblum,
yes,
who maybe is the king to your queen of cannabis here in Nevada. My guess is you're for this.
Well, I certainly am for changing the whole judicial system and the criminal laws around possession of marijuana. I am certainly for more access to marijuana for testing and to see what the medical qualities are. I am certainly for more access for veterans to get medical marijuana. And if the public wants to go with this, I will go with it. I just want us to do it the right way. And listen, I have visited all of the dispensaries here. I've been to Colorado, I've been to California, I've been to Arizona. I just want us to do it right. I just don't want us to jump into something that's going to have implications for our economy. We are sui generis.
So
there is no question about it.
You're not going to take a position.
I'm not today.
Not today, all right. Finally, you must be so bored with your job now and so confident of re-election. I saw this press release. I saw the pictures. I couldn't believe it. You have time to appear at a press conference with David Copperfield.
I know.
Because you want to make sure that magic is recognized as an art. That's a joke, right?
No, absolutely not. And I am not bored. I represent the most exciting district in the world, and so there is always something going on, we say, only in District 1. And I always follow the admonition of Richard Bryan, who says there are 2 ways to run scared or run unopposed. So we are working very hard. But back to David Copperfield. Now, that's a very great thing to recognize magic as art for a number of reasons. Then magicians can get federal grants, like from the NEA, like dance, theater, movies. Also, magicians can be protected with their intellectual property. When they create a trick, you can't steal it, you can patent it. And third, think of the impact of magic on the economy of District 1. My district has more performing magicians than any place in the world. People come here to see magicians. David Copperfield is known internationally, and it's not just the magician and the lady cuts in half. It's the people who make the costumes, the people who do the lights, the stage hands, all the ancillary industry that goes with magic. So yes, I'd like to see it recognized.
My goodness, did David Copperfield teach any tricks? Can you disappear during interviews now?
I know a few people I'd like to disappear.
That is the right answer. Finally, 2018, you're going to win re-election. I know you're running hard, but you're going to win. You've run for a governor before. You've been rumored to be interested at one time in the U.S. Senate. I think you thought about it. Are you in that seat for life, or might you think about anything? You know, I'm not even going to tell people how old you are. I know how old you are, but you are young. But you are young in terms of you still have as much energy as when I first met you. Are you in that seat for life? Would you think about doing something else?
Well, you never say never, John, but I can tell you this is a fabulous district to represent. I have some seniority in the House. I can get things done. I'm on committees that I like and enjoy. Transportation is so important to Nevada veterans with our growing number of veterans. I can do some things and have some fun. So I can't imagine not representing the Strip, the Arts District, downtown. We've got the Chinatown and the Asian population on the west, the Hispanic population on the east. It's one big food festival, you know, with everybody in the district. So I'm pretty happy right where I am for now.
So few Republicans to deal with, too, in that
district.
Yeah,
right? that helps.
So do you think that interviewing public officials should be recognized as an art as well?
Well, you're pretty tricky, John, so maybe that's the magic.
It's always a pleasure having you on. Thanks for coming on, Congresswoman.
Thank you.
All right.